Caleb Owens Broadcasting, number 3, live from Rehab. Our trusted co-host, Noah, has moved on. He's back under the bridge, I like to say. He is no longer with us. He has completed his program and he has moved on to bigger and better bridges. He will be maybe homeless, we don't know. If you see him in the street, refer him to social services. It's always a great thing to see somebody graduate, though. The term is graduation in the rehab game. It's a little bit silly, but nothing wrong with that. People move on and go back to their lives. I have about 20 days left, and pending a massive shift in attitude, I plan to not immediately become a drunk again. I hope that I might. That could be a fun route, because I am moving to Vancouver. As we talked about an episode ago, Fent Mecca, I like to call it. I'm moving to Fent Mecca, and if I'm not on the street collecting cans within months, I will be having a very good time. I wanted today to talk about rehab life, because I've lived here in a sanitarium for a year now, and I thought it would be interesting to give you people the tea, so to speak, about living in rehab and what that's like. It's essentially like a dorm it's like summer camp for junkies, is the best way I could describe it. It's a summer camp for troubled people to come and sort out their problems or not, and follow the rules or not, and we'll cover a couple slices of that. So first of all, the living situation is pretty much like a dorm. You live with a bunch of guys. Some of them, it's like a little Pokemon game. You guess which drug they were on when they come in. The skinny ones are easy, right? But then it gets complicated when you see other people. I'm an alcoholic. People can usually tell because of the eye bags and the aged face and the shame. But it's hard to guess what people's drugs of choice are sometimes. But it's a fun game that I play. I felt really cool one day because someone guessed that my drug of choice was Molly. Now, it wasn't. But that's kind of a cool, maybe it's just because I dress like some sort of Miami crypto investor now, but I was complimented by that. There's a couple floors. There's the women's floor, the men's floor, and the youth floor. I'm on the youth floor. I'm 17 years old, and no, I'm not. I'm 22. I think you can be on that floor until you're 24. And the main distinction between the youth floor and the other floors is just the level of freedom. It's pretty easy going up there. It's not exactly conducive to success, but whatever. Repeat business is fine. And it's all pretty interesting. Types of people in rehab. This might be a chunk of this episode today. I wanted to talk about different types of people you meet in rehab. I compiled a list in my mind, and we will be discussing types of person in rehab. First, Captain Recovery. Captain Recovery is a great type of person. This is a type of person that is usually like good in high school because they're great in a structured environment. Even if that structured environment's like a party scene, they're great in it. They're good at like social climbing, teacher's pet kind of vibes. They're the captain of recovery. Their recovery is better than yours, and they're going to tell you. And they're going to tell you what to do and tell you how to live a successful life. These are the type of people that you'll see in the smoke pit at like 3 a.m. and they'll go on a spiel. Yeah, man, I just know it's working for me this time. Closer to God than ever. I'm just really finding my way, and you'll find your way too. You'll find your way too. It's usually patronizing kind of vibes. yeah, it's just like if you don't do your chores, man, it's like you're kind of putting your recovery on the back seat. You can't be doing that. You got to live with integrity, man. That's my one word that I use in my day now is integrity. I'm the same guy that was smoking crack with my baby in the car a couple months ago. But now it's all about integrity. And the secret is they're not different than any of us. They're still the same crack smoking father that they always were and always will be. Even if they recover, you don't little pieces of yourself stay scum. That's what I've learned in rehab. There's always going to be a scumbag in me because I was a scumbag. And I'm not going to let that go because that scumbag is useful in certain situations, cracking jokes, bartering if we're ever in an apocalypse scenario. But Captain Recovery takes rehab very seriously, and unfortunately, after rehab, they lose the structure, and it usually doesn't work out. Or they become like big book thumpers, which we'll talk about in a bit. Number 2 type of person in rehab, flight risk. This is a good type of person in rehab. Flight risk. They're dangerous. They might be armed. They are plotting. They're finding a way out. They're arguing with people constantly, or they're not talking to anyone at all. The flight risk is unpredictable. You see them in the smoke pit and they're pacing, or they're somewhere else and they're smoking and they're looking out at the street wondering if now is the time to dash. The flight risk doesn't come to much classes. But when they do, they're kind of quiet and almost cougar-like. They're a different animal. They're faster. They're slicker. They're preparing to escape. And they often do, and they're gone for a number of days, and then they're back, and then they're gone. And eventually they're kicked out, and then they're back, and they're gone. The flight risk you cannot know very well, but they're usually a pretty good person when you talk to them. Like you have a chat with them one night and you think they're kind of nice. I wonder if they're going to do okay. And the next morning they're gone. That's the flight risk. The flight risk is a beautiful specimen, and no rehab would be complete without the flight risk. Type of person in rehab number 3. Pardon my language, but this is a type of person in rehab. Bitch who fights. You're a bitch and you fight. You fight your friends. You fight the counselors. You fight your boyfriend, your rehab boyfriend. We'll talk about rehab love in a bit here. You fight your enemies. You fight your mom on the phone. Bitch, I told you. You fight anybody. And you're usually kind of hot. You're a hot chick. Or you're not that hot, but you used to be hot. Maybe you were a streetwalker or a sex worker. And that's fine. And you just have an attitude. And it's actually fun. And a lot of people will appreciate you if you're this person. You're a bitch who fights. You storm out of class because someone said something you disagree with. You start rumors. You're malicious. You're brutal. You're rough. You're tough. You're a street chick, and you fight people bitterly to no end. And you come up to your friends and you describe the fights you've gotten in that day, people like me, and you tell them all about the fights, and we get enjoyment out of it. And you're a beauty. Stay a bitch who fights. That's you, and you're beautiful. Stay a bitch who fights. Type 4. We'll do a couple more here. Parent with no hope. You're a parent. You have a couple kids or one kid. And you have no hope. It's a little bit of a sad one, but it's true. These people come in and they talk about, I'm doing this for my little girl. I have to give up the lifestyle for the little girl or the baby boy. their mother is a godsend, putting up with me and my addiction, and I just have to do it for my baby boy. And time goes on with the parent with no hope, and they start good. And you talk to them and you admire their courage to try to turn their life around for their family. That's a marvelous thing. And the parent with no hope can easily translate into parent with hope. So don't be worried if you're a parent with no hope out there. This is a specific type of rehab personality that you can shed. After a while, you start becoming inconvenienced by petty little things. Fucking Jacob's not doing his chores. I told him to do the bathrooms and he didn't do the bathrooms. You're starting to forget your baby boy. A little bit. The food sucks here. The food just sucks here. And my stupid baby mama doesn't want me to move back in with them because there was a little accident, and they don't tell you that the accident was arson. And the parent with no hope loses sight. We had one of these recently. Obviously, I won't say any names. It's just a personality type. They start off strong. They start to lose hope. And then they go out and do drugs again, because their addiction is a deep-rooted problem and the baby boy wasn't enough. Now, honesty is important to recovery, and I would appreciate it if a parent with no hope would come up to me one day and just look at me in the eyes and say, honestly, Caleb, my kid's kind of mid. My kid's kind of mid, and I'm not fucking with it. I'm not really fucking with it anymore. And you could say, what do you mean by that exactly? It's loud. It cries all the time. The mom wants me to FaceTime it often. I'm not really feeling it. Okay. What are you feeling? Smack. I'm feeling smack right now. That honesty would be nice. And then they go and do smack, and I'm sure it'll work out. Maybe the kid will become a singer, tortured poets, all that. Last type of person in rehab before we move on. This is an interesting type of person in rehab. And most people get to this place in rehab. So this is, again, it's a transformation process. You could start hopeless dad. You could become hopeful dad. You could start bitch who fights, become bitch who loves. It's all a process. The checked out guy or the checked out girl. Maybe you've been here for a while. Maybe you're a bitch who fights, who's lost your lust for violence. Or maybe you're a hopeless dad who has pretty much become content with the fact you're not getting the kids back. And you're just checked out. You're sober. You're going to be fine probably. Maybe you won't even pick up again. But you're checked out of rehab. You don't do chores. You don't go to classes. You barely do anything that doesn't immediately interest you. And even then you struggle to sit through it for a matter of minutes. Now, I might be talking about myself now. The checked out person. You smoke all day. You call your family and complain about rehab like you didn't land yourself here. You become increasingly bitter with the people on your floor, the Captain Recoveries, the bitches who fight, the hopeless dads. You become increasingly bitter with that. You find other people's joy in recovery disgusting after a point. Not personally. It's not a personal attack. You understand that it's nice that they have that, but you don't have that anymore. And whether you get it back or not is a question for the gods. But in the moment, in the rehab moment, you don't have that spark. And you take it out usually by smoking and talking to the bitches who fight and learning the goss and talking about the drama of the day. So those are some types of people you're going to meet if you go to rehab. God willing you don't, but I know there are many of you out there that are probably shooting up while you watch this. And YouTube is auto-playing, and you need Narcan. And that's okay, because engagement is engagement. Rehab love. I want to tell a story about rehab love. There was a chick here. We'll call her Sally. Wasn't a real name, but anonymity is the spiritual tradition of all our traditions and so forth. So we'll call her Sally. And there was a guy here. We'll call him Ringo. Code names, because I'm respectful. And they were trouble. They were both, well, here's the thing. Sally was a bitch who fought. Ringo was a hopeless dad. And they met in the middle, and a spark flew, and they were eating together at lunch, and they were having little secret trysts in the back, and they were having a fun time. Now, one day, when I was still in housing, I had yet to be sent back to rehab, I come down to the smoke pit to have a ciggy, and I see them especially close to each other. And I think that's sweet. I wonder what's up with Sally and Ringo. Maybe they're going to fall in love, I thought. And they were laughing, having a good time. I go up to them because I was close with Sally. Like I said, I'm in with the bitches who fight. I'm always in with the bitches who fight because they have the best stories. So I go up to Sally and immediately smell alcohol. Curious. And Sally and Ringo both kind of smell like alcohol. This is where rehab love peaks. If rehab love was a mountain, there's the meeting, the eating together at meals, talking in the back where there's no cameras. It peaks at you've both smuggled booze back to your rehab and now you're drunk in the smoke pit. But they are, in that moment, so in love that it is a beautiful thing to see. You can hear the orchestra playing. They snuck out together to get booze. And every 5 minutes, Sally, who's not particularly bright, says she needs water and goes behind a corner and drinks out of a water bottle. Now, we all knew that it wasn't water, but Sally thought she was fooling people. And in that moment, she's not a bitch who fights. She's a girl in love. That's fucking nice. And the hopeless dad's not thinking of his annoying kid with his Fortnite. He's thinking of Sally. And they're hugging up and the arm around the shoulder. And it's just a beautiful little thing. I talked to them for a while. They were in great spirits. I remember thinking how nice it would be to just have a drunk couple to come here to rehab for morale. Just even to come be drunk in front of the addicts. It would be triggering for some, but for some people, it would be inspiring. Just two idiots in love. And the next day, the cops came and Sally was escorted away from the building, and Ringo was seen at a bus stop alone. But that's the end of rehab love. That's the fall off the mountain. And I just hope that when I'm gone from this place, the cycles keep repeating. I hope new Captain Recoveries come in and become checked out guys. I hope new bitches who fight become girls in love. I hope hopeless dads either find hope or find dope. And I hope... Oh, I make myself laugh sometimes. If you have a child, get it together, please. Like, it's not a hard ask. I know it is a hard ask, but my mom did it, and she's only kind of insane. So just get it together for the kid. You can go back to your shit after they're 18 and disown you. Get it together for the kid, please. I have nothing to get it together for except myself. And I'm not a bounty, okay? Like, have it together only because I don't want my liver to explode. It's not actually that hard to find reasons to live for when you have children, you'd think. Regardless, we'll finish today. We have about 10 minutes to go with a little bit of commentary on leaving rehab and my thoughts on this place. It's been a rehab-centric episode. My life is rehab-centric. I'm sorry. I'm in a rehab. And it's a very white male thing to do, to be in rehab and start a podcast. I understand. I understand that this is ridiculous and kind of egomaniacal, and I should go to like a priest or something and be exorcised for my sins of hubris. But besides the point, this rehab, I have to credit it. It probably did save my life. Last summer, I was at the end of my rope, long hair disheveled, bloated from drinking, bloated face, very, very ill physically and mentally, hearing things, delirium tremens, the whole nine. And I came here after about 5 years of heavy use. 5 years, 15 to 20, 21. Lost apartment, lost all my savings, became a hermit. Everyone knows the whole alcoholic shebang, so it's not something I'm going to get into too much on this episode. We will have a later episode where I stick up for people in active addiction. I'm going to call it the Alcoholics Advocate. I'm going to stick up for your right to hang up on your wife and drink. But that's not today. I do have to credit this place for saving my life. Now, are there faults? Sure. There are people you don't want to hang out with. There's a myth that drug addicts are incredibly intelligent. They're not. They're just people. There's a breadth and diversity of intelligence and wisdom. And some people you meet, you just wish you never did because they're bad. Or some people are just simply dull and you feel dull by association. And that's unfortunate. Some days aren't fun. You're locked up. You don't have a lot of freedom. You feel like you could be doing a lot more with your life. But there are days where things are fun. There's supportive staff members that you can talk to anytime. There's walks you get to go on. It's kind of like a vacation, but kind of like institutionalization. It's a weird halfway ground between life and, I guess, monitoring life. It's interesting. And I would say that I'm incredibly grateful for this place and what it's done for me, because I couldn't have done it by myself. I was a destitute hermit drunk who was only concerned with watching edits of Tom Holland on repeat while I drink myself into a blackout stupor. That said, in 20 days or so, I should be leaving rehab. And that's an exciting thought. I'll be moving to Vancouver, Fent Mecca, home of the brave, land of the free. And I will be trying all sorts of things. I'll be doing this podcast. I'll be talking about, I'll be doing stand-up, I hope. And hopefully I don't go back to the bottle, because in episodes of this show, as alarming as they already are, me being alone and going on rants for 30 minutes, it's going to become more alarming when I'm drunk and talking about how the towers were falling from an inside job and just rambling, and it's not going to be nice. So hopefully I don't do that. The goal is to continue forward with a positive momentum and a positive trajectory, and make things better, make my life better, make this podcast better, make friends and lovers and all of that sort of stuff. And that's the hope. But if it all fails, I can just come back to rehab. It's not the worst thing in the world actually. But I don't think that it'll fail. I have a lot of hope for the future for my Vancouver life. Couve move, hashtag Couve move, make it trend. So just some closing thoughts. We'll miss Noah. Great guy, great co-host. I hope to see him in the future, hopefully not under the bridge. And we'll be back next week with maybe a longer episode with a guest. But that's all for now. Thank you for tuning in, and good night.